Welcome to the Support Center. My name is Tom. We're going to look at the registration process and how families can join your website and how you get some of these things on the back end set up so you're ready to accept family registrations. So let's go ahead and dive in here. Now I won't go into all the minute details of all the different settings. We'll have separate videos to look at some of these things in detail, but I just want to give you a quick overview of what can be done here and some of the settings that you can change. So the first thing is I'm going to open a new web browser tab. I'm going to go to my homeschool sample site. Here's the address. I've got it out there ready. Okay, so I'm on my sample site. I'm not logged in because I don't have a membership. So the area of the site we're going to focus on is right here, this request membership item. Okay, and I click on it and it takes them to the request membership form. So I want to show you how we modify a few of these items, what can be changed and can't be changed out here. Okay, so back to my admin site. So the area we're looking at can be found at few different places. I can go to users, families, and then registration process. That's what we're working on right now. I can also just come over here to manage and then also go to the same area, registration process. There's even a link on your home page that takes you to the manage membership page. All right, so let's look at the different things you can turn off or on. So display join link, I can actually turn this icon completely off so it can't be found, and I can hide it so that only an admin can create a membership. So if somebody searching on Google looks for your site, find your sign up page, they can't even sign up. So I'm going to leave it turned on for now, no reason to turn it off. This allows users to stay signed in. So basically that caches their login credentials. So when they log in, they have an option to stay logged in and it caches their credentials. So the next time they come to log back in again, it remembers who they were on that device that they were working on. Wording for what's required. This is the very, very top of the page. So if I put some info out here, maybe there's different documents. Maybe you want to say hello, whatever you want to say to your prospective families. If I were to put that there, and then I'm going to go down here and save it. So now if I come back and I click on this request membership, see this text I just added that shows up at the top. The terms of service, back to registration process. Right here, terms of service, that's the information in here. We provide kind of a sample to you. You can go ahead and change this, delete it. You can even make it not required. Your families will see that over here. Right now it's required. If they click on this, it opens a new window and they can read those as well. But you don't have to have that. It's completely up to you. All right, and then the other fields, these primary, last name, first name, email address, things like that, those are required fields. You can change the names of some of those fields. Let's look at that real quick as a side note, but again, try not to get into the weeds here. So if I come over here to manage and I pick on any one of my families, just click on one, you can see the pencil icon next to some of these fields. Those are the ones that I can rename. So maybe I want to change this to, instead of primary last name, maybe I want to say Dad's last name. And I want to change this to Dad's first name. And maybe I want to change this. Let's see if I refresh it, I should see those. Okay, so Dad's last name, Dad's first name, Dad's email. And maybe I'll do the same kind of idea here. I think you get the idea. If I could type correctly. There we go. And so when I change these for any of my families, it changes them for all the families. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh that. Okay, you can see that I changed those fields. Okay, and so if I come back here, back out of that, go back in, I'll actually see that it changed those on my form. So that's, maybe a better idea, a better way to get exactly what you're looking for. So I'm going to put some info out here. Now, one thing to remember is if families register, the only thing the system wants unique is their username. So each of your families needs to have a unique username. Shouldn't be a problem, but just so you know. All right, so there's those fields there. You can rename them. Address field, I don't think that's something you can rename. Nope, you can't. Okay, so you can rename the phone field and phone to fields, and maybe you want to call this home phone or fax or whatever you want to do there. Okay. Here's the children's fields. I'm going to back out again, come over here to registration process one more time so we can look at all this together. Okay, here are some additional fields that we include. You can turn these off or on. Probably the only caveat here is I would not turn the children field off. If you turn that children additional non-required field off, then when a family is completing their request membership, they won't see the children's field, and that's kind of important for most groups. Okay, so I would leave that off and on, or on, excuse me. The other fields you can turn off or on at will, so I'm just going to turn them all on just so you can see what they look like. Okay, and then I'm going to save that. So now if I come back here and I request membership and I scroll down, I'll see those fields: church affiliation, curriculum, year started homeschooling, family businesses. Those were right here. Okay, those things you turned off and on. The phone to, I think, is up here. Yep. Then you can turn those off or on, and you can rename them as well. Okay. And then here's some other items that will appear. So when a family gets done completing all their information and they click on continue, it's going to take them to a page, and the page will have this blurb on it, the completed message. Any payment information you give them, let's say you accept PayPal and you accept checks, when you could say, and your payment to, maybe you give your street address or something like that in there. Okay, I'm going to save it just so you can see what this looks like. Okay, so before we actually submit a family, I'm going to back out here a page again. I'm going to show you how to add additional fields. So let's say maybe we want to grab the child's allergy information. So if I come down here to members again and I click on additional child fields, not additional fields, but additional child fields, I'm going to hit this plus child field, and I want to grab maybe their allergies, and I only want admins and instructors to see this. I don't want all families, just only the administrator of the website and class instructors to see this. I'm going to make it a label and text box. I want them to be able to type something in here. So for label, I'm going to say, please list your child's, something like that. Okay, I can even click this little spell check button over here because I spelled allergies wrong. It knew that. There we go. It fixed it. Okay, and I'm going to save it. Oh, wanted to know if it's required or not. So I come back up here. Is it required? No, because they may not have an allergy. And I'm going to save it. So let's see what that looks like, that child field that I just added. So again, if I request membership and I scroll down here, I'll see that for this one child that I'm entering, please list your child allergies. And if I were to add a second child, that same field will be repeated. Okay, so that's how you can add child fields. You can also add additional family level fields, and you can add those. They'll show up here at the very bottom of your website or your application. So if I come back here to manage and click on extra child fields, I can add, extra fields. I can add a new field. Come over here, I can change some of the security behind it, who sees it, who doesn't see it. Maybe I want to capture statement of faith if they've read and agreed to the statement of faith. So that would be a few different options here. Maybe a label and a checkbox. Okay, so I have read and agree to the, and I could go so far as to hyperlinking this to an actual statement of faith. But I won't do that at this time, and I give them a couple options, yes or no, for my choices. I save it. So now let me show you what that looks like. Back on the website again, click on Request Membership. If I scroll down, I can see that field. I've read and agreed to statement of faith, and it needs me to answer yes or no. Kind of a little trick that you can do here is, let's say you don't want them to ever say no. Either they're going to agree to it or not complete their form. So I can actually remove the no option. So if I come back here to my extra fields, click on statement of faith, I can scroll down here and I should be able to remove the no option. Update it. There we go. So now we only have one option. It's yes. So now if I go out and back in and scroll down, I'll see my only option is to actually agree to the statement of faith. I can't get past it without agreeing to it. Okay, so there's some of the basics. So let's see what this looks like. Oh, one more thing I want to show you before I actually complete one. So here's some fields: first name, last name, those are required for children. Birth date and grade, I have those set to being required, but they don't have to be. Let me show you how to modify that. So again, back here on my admin site, I would go to Settings, Privacy and Security, and Privacy Options. So here's some things I can turn off and on. So family's address, I can give the family the option, if I want to completely hide themselves from the directory. Now an admin will see them, but other families won't see any of their info on the directory. Family privacy options, same idea, place all my members on the directory. Don't make it, I can hide my complete family from the directory. That's an option. Child privacy options, I can make it so that they can hide just their children from the directory. So here's some different privacy options to hiding just their address, their entire information, or just their children from the directory. So here's those fields we were talking about, the child's birth date options. So here you can require or not require their birth date. Here you can require or not require their grade, and I can even enable or disable logins for children. So you would want this enabled if you were using the classroom dashboard. Children will need to log in and do things with their classes, so you'll want to have that enabled. So I'll go ahead and do that right now just for this test. So if I enable that child login, I come out and I go back in again. I scroll down here, I'll actually see this new password field it's asking for. Okay, so let's go ahead and complete just one of these so we can see. So here I need to agree to the terms of service because it's there. Put in some information. Give it a username, password. Like that. You get the idea, of course. I don't need to go through each one of these for you. Okay, now for my children. Again, red asterisk means it's required. It's going to want me to put these in here. So it's throwing up when's their birth date. I can also type it in. Okay, and it's going to use the birth date for different things. Like if you're using the class registration tool and you have age restrictions set on, it's going to use that age to do some different things to make sure they can register for their classes if you're using that feature. So, maybe they're 16th grade. We'll see. Okay, this is required. I'm going to leave the username, the email address, and password fields blank. Scroll down here, and I've got to agree to the statement of faith. Well, let's see if I've completed it all. I have, okay. So remember I told you about those fields I added. So if I come back here to users, families, registration process, you can see this information, thank you, and the send your payment to ABC. Those appeared right here like I said they would. Now I've actually put in an amount, and I'm using the accounting tool and have PayPal set up, so it actually will direct me to PayPal. If I click on this link, it's going to take me to PayPal and ask me to pay. So there's really the basics of getting this set up. Again, you can get into the weeds with some different training videos that we have on using family sections and how all these different features work. But that's the basic overview of how the registration process works and how you set it up as an admin and how your families can register. My advice would be to set this up and then just keep testing it. So if I come back here to my admin site and go to approval, I can see this family that has requested membership. I've also received an email telling me they've requested membership. So you can test away as much as you want, and I can just go ahead and delete that family. Don't need to approve them, or I could approve them and see what it looks like. But again, just keep testing it thoroughly. Make sure it's the way you want it before you actually have families go through the registration process for the first time. If you need further assistance, you can go to your admin homepage and click on this Create Ticket button.